Good morning, everyone. I would invite you to rise in body or in spirit and turn in the gray hymnal to hymn number 89, Come My Way, My Truth, My Life, hymn number 89. Come my way, my truth, my life, such a way as gives us breath, such a truth as ends all strife, such a life as killeth death. Come, my light, my feast, my strength, such a light as shows a feast, such a feast as mends in length, such a strength as makes a guest. Come, my joy, my love, my heart, such a joy as none can move, such a love as none can part, such a heart as joys in love. Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, a beacon of light in this community since 1865. I'm the Reverend Kimberley Debus, and I am honored to serve as your sabbatical minister while your senior minister, the Reverend Manish Mishra-Marzetti, is on a much-deserved time of rest and rejuvenation. I'm coming to you today from my studio in the DC metro area, where it's maybe a little bit warmer than it is in Ann Arbor, but it is also rainy. A special hello to those who are also online live and to those watching later. If you are new to us and online, please introduce yourself in the chat and fill out the survey at uua.org/newcomer survey so we can more easily connect with you. If you are new and in person, I invite you to a newcomer welcome held in the Redmond Room after the service. It's just outside the sanctuary doors on the left. There is a sign and someone there to answer any questions you might have about the congregation and or about Unitarian Universalism. Now, those of you in the sanctuary may notice that on one side of the chancel there is a very beautiful but very empty fir tree. We need your help making it a little less empty and a little more joyful. So today, shortly after the service, we'll gather to trim the tree and sing some Christmas carols. All are welcome. And now let us be present to ourselves and each other in our various spaces as we hear these words from the Reverend Kristen Grassel Schmidt. In this season of waiting, this time when the nights grow shorter and the days grow shorter and the nights longer, as we keep watch for hope and peace, joy and love to be born in our midst, may the wings of the Spirit open softly within us, gracing us with inspiration, so that our waiting itself becomes a place of new creation. Come, let us worship together.
In many Christian denominations, today marks the first Sunday of Advent. And this morning we'll be singing one of my favorite Advent hymns, O Come, Emmanuel, whose origins date back about 1,500 years. Of the original 7 Latin verses, I think my favorite is the 5th, O Oriens, which is sung traditionally in the Roman Rite on the 21st of December, neatly aligning with the winter solstice, the darkest day of the year. This verse hails the coming of the light and exhorts the sun to rise in the east and enlighten those who sit in darkness. At this time of year, for time out of mind, people have looked for the coming of the light. At this time of year and at this point in history, it can feel at times as if the world is growing ever darker. And so, we light candles against the dark to remind us that yes, the sun will rise tomorrow in the east, and that each of us carries within ourselves a piece of that same light, both figuratively and literally. We are, after all, made of star stuff. That which illuminates the universe shines within each and every one of us. And so I would like to invite Kristen Lesueur to join us on the chancel to light the chalice today. As Kristen lights our chalice here in the sanctuary, we invite our online community to light a chalice of your own, perhaps sharing in the chat. The chalice is lit and from where you're joining us today. Will all of you join me, please, as we speak together? We light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace. Thank you, Kristen. I don't know about you, but I often find it easier somehow to see that inner light shining out from the people I love than to see it always in myself. And don't get me started about the people who I sometimes find it a challenge to love. And it's for that reason, well, one of the reasons, that I so value that in this congregation and in this tradition, we take the time each week to remind ourselves of why and of how we choose to be in community together. After all, even a star is only dust until enough of it decides to join together and begin to shine. And so I ask you, would you please join together as we say the words of our covenant? The spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth in love, and to help one another.
I am often asked how I choose our Time for All Ages stories. Well, there's lots of amazing resources and librarians and libraries and all sorts of incredible places where you can find these books. But honestly, for me, it helps that I have a live-in focus group, my 3 children. So I actually read today's story to my son earlier in the week, and I asked him what he's waiting for right now. Nate, would you like to share your answer with everybody? Christmas. I think there are probably other adults and many children in the space who would agree with that one. What other things are you waiting for? Does any of the kids want to say, what are you waiting for or most excited about this holiday season?
My birthday is coming in like 3 or 2 months.
Your birthday's coming up, that's right, in February, right? That's a good one. What else? What else are we waiting for? Snow, spring. I can relate to that one for sure. Yeah. Presents. What else? New Year's Eve. The end of the semester. Mm-hmm. Christmas cookies. Christmas carols, and we get to do some today, so you don't have to wait much longer. I hope you all join us. Santa? That's a good one. Yeah. Christmas break. Who's excited for Christmas break? I'm putting my hand down for that one. Anything else that I have not mentioned? Yeah. Outdoor soccer is coming back. When does that happen? Spring. So spring is a common theme that we're hearing. Well, these are all amazing. And it looks like we're all in this constant state of waiting. And you know, whether or not the waiting leads to the outcome that we're hoping for, in some ways that actually doesn't matter. And our story for all ages this morning celebrates a fundamental truth, that the act of waiting is itself a gift. Waiting. Words and Pictures by Kevin Henkes. There were 5 of them, and they were waiting. The owl with spots was waiting for the moon. The pig with the umbrella was waiting for the rain. The bear with the kite was waiting for the wind. The puppy on the sled was waiting for the snow. The rabbit with stars wasn't waiting for anything in particular. He just liked to look out the window and wait. When the moon came up, the owl was happy. It happened a lot. When the rain came down, the pig was happy. The umbrella kept her dry. When the wind blew, the bear was happy. The kite flew high and far. When it finally snowed, the puppy was happy. He'd waited a very long time. The rabbit was happy just looking out the window. Sometimes one or the other of them went away, but he or she always came back. Sometimes they slept, but mostly they waited. Sometimes gifts appeared. Once a visitor arrived from far away. He stayed a while. Then he left and never returned. They saw many interesting things. And of course, there was always the moon and the rain and the wind and the snow to keep them happy. One day, a cat with patches joined them. Was she waiting for the moon? No. Was she waiting for the rain? No. Was she waiting for the wind? No. Was she waiting for the snow? No. She didn't seem to be waiting for anything in particular. Oh, but she was. Now there were 10 of them, and they were happy together, waiting to see what would happen next. The end. Did anyone travel for Thanksgiving? Some of us, many of us. Well, I spent my holiday in Arizona, where it was 70 degrees and sunny pretty much every day. And then on Sunday night, I was greeted at the airport by cold and snow when we arrived back in Michigan. I'm already waiting for spring, and it's barely December. It's hard to just be with whatever just is, to sit in discomfort or unpleasantness. Sometimes it's even hard to sit in comfort and pleasantness, to live into the present moment instead of looking ahead. Those of us with busy minds struggle acutely with staying in the here and now. But you know, I think we're a little too hard on ourselves. Waiting, patiently or impatiently, is one of the great joys of this time of year. May we remember that there's something magical and beautiful in the waiting itself, something to be treasured. And now is the time in our service when we sing our children and youth to their programs. Please follow your teachers out of the sanctuary, remembering to walk and not run, as the congregation sings with love and affection. And I hope to see all of you back in here after the service to decorate our tree and sing some carols.
Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine.
We turn now to the ritual of our Sunday offering, a weekly practice calling us to respond with intention and generosity to a hungry world. We give freely and joyfully, knowing our gifts will further our justice-seeking goals. Once a month, we elevate this practice, sharing our collection with a local group working to create a more equitable world. Today, we share our collection with Ypsilanti Meals on Wheels, an organization whose programs go well beyond the delivery of meals. And here to tell us more about these programs is Chris Brown, Supportive Services Manager for Ypsilanti Meals on Wheels. Please give him your warmest welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to join you today. My name is Chris Brown, and I'm the Supportive Services Manager for Ypsilanti Meals on Wheels. Ypsilanti Meals on Wheels provides nutritious meals, social contact, and other services to the homebound elderly, ill, and disabled in eastern Washtenaw County to enable them to enjoy healthier, safer, and more independent lives. In 2022, we delivered more than 127,000 meals to our about 250 clients and are on track to surpass that in 2023. We deliver meals every Monday through Friday with 6 staff routes and 7 volunteer routes. Each year, our volunteers give us more than 4,000 hours of their time to make that happen. In addition to meals, we also offer additional wraparound support services. We provide support to our clients' pets with monthly food and cat litter delivery. We know that pets are an important tool for homebound individuals experiencing loneliness, and if accessing food for yourself is a problem or a challenge, then that's also likely true of accessing food for your pet companion. We also offer a personal care pantry, providing household cleaning products, personal care items, and adult incontinence supplies. These items are especially important because they can be very expensive and allow the people that we serve to maintain sanitation and dignity. Lastly, we offer our Care on Wheels program. Care on Wheels is an assistive aging in place program that includes support from social work, nursing, and occupational therapy with the goal of making small improvements to clients' homes and routines. These improvements might include things like grab bars, shower chairs, assistance navigating public transportation, and caregiver respite. Our goal is to assist about 100 people per year with this program, and it's not limited to Meals on Wheels recipients. Thank you again for welcoming me to join you today. You can probably tell that I'm really proud of the services that we offer to our clients in the Ypsilanti area, and I hope that you'll join us in whatever way you can as the holiday season approaches. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Let us answer Chris's enthusiasm and dedication with loving support in keeping with the joyful season of giving we are now entering. As the ushers pass the baskets here in the sanctuary, you may leave cash or check donations. If you choose to leave a check, please add "Share the collection" to the memo line. For digital options, you may text UUAA to 73256 or visit uuaa.org/giving and select Share the Collection for the fund. However you choose to give, thank you for your generosity. The gifts we send out into the community will carry with them our spirit and our love. I invite the ushers to please come forward as this morning's offering is now given and received. As the ushers come forward, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as you are comfortably able. And please join me as we say together our words of dedication. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Thank you. You may be seated.
I invite you now to turn in the gray hymnal to hymn number 225, O come, Emmanuel, and join in singing the first verse of hymn 225. O come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all exiles here, and to the aching heart be cheer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within us love to dwell.
For many years, I was a volunteer at my local library, and every year we would organize a huge book sale. At the start, we just set out random boxes of books, but then we got the idea to sort books by genre, and collecting stacks of the individual titles that seemed to come in by droves, from books like The Da Vinci Code, which we think every single person in the county had bought and wanted to discard, to huge stacks of John Grisham and Tom Clancy thrillers. Our huge stacks were typically fiction, except for one book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. Now, this book is quite handy for first-time expectant mothers. It includes advice on the physical and emotional changes. It tells you what's going on in the baby's development. It gives nutritional advice, even advice on sexuality, and advice for the fathers-to-be. I don't know anyone in the last 15 years who wasn't given a copy when they announced their pregnancy, usually by a doting mother or aunt or best friend. And once you've been through it, they say you don't need the book anymore, so off to the library book sale it goes, onto the pile with the dozens of other copies, alongside the piles of Brown, Grisham, and Clancy. But it is handy to know what to expect when you are expecting. Before this book, of course, this information was passed down in the oral tradition from mother to daughter, and has been since the dawn of time. But what of those who don't have mothers to advise them, or those who are in situations that prevent them from talking to a mother? Now imagine you are a young woman named Mary, probably actually Miriam, in Nazareth in the first century of the Common Era. You have recently been betrothed to a man named Joseph from this same village. You were brought up to follow the laws of the Torah, and your behavior, sexual and otherwise, is tightly regulated. Yet things don't go according to plan, and you find yourself pregnant. And you have no one to tell you what to expect. Now, of course, the religious leaders from your time, and certainly in the future, framed this pregnancy as a miracle. We're told that Mary did in fact know, and that knowing could not have been easy given her circumstances. It is likely, of course, that when Mary was pregnant, she actually had no idea who her child would be, because in fact it is only long after their death that we get the mythic narratives. the visitation of the angel Gabriel, the miraculous conception, and Mary's song of declaration and joy was written in the Gospel of Luke, known to us as the Magnificat. Yet she must have known how special this pregnancy was. Mary said yes and waited for her child to be born, and hopefully accepted by her betrothed and her community, hoping, like every expectant mother, that this child would be healthy, safe, successful, and loved, hoping, like every expectant parent, that their children would bring light and love to the lives of those around them, and for them believing that her faithfulness to God was being rewarded. At the core, this is what the season of Advent is about. It is a time of waiting, waiting for the changes that come as new life grows, waiting for something new to change us, waiting simply for a new birth, and waiting for a new light to shine to bring love to all.
Spirit of love, Spirit of love, come in. For there is much in our lives keeping you out. Our own concerns consume us and turn us inward. Grant us patience. Give us the eyes of love. Open us to the needs of others. Fill us with the love of the season.
O come, you splendor very bright. O come, you splendor very bright, as joy that never yields to might. O come and turn all hearts to peace, that greed and war at last shall cease. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as truth to dwell.
One of Aesop's fables tells the story of a thirsty crow who spotted a pitcher of water, but whose beak wasn't long enough to get in to reach the water. So he starts dropping pebbles into the pitcher, and eventually the water began to rise. This tale is often told to illustrate perseverance. But what if instead the water is our belief that, as Theodore Parker says, the moral arc of the universe is long but bends towards justice? And what if the pebbles, which look like boulders to us sometimes, are in fact so small that the water of justice doesn't seem to rise, even when these pebbles of shocking injustice are not just dropping one by one, but by handfuls? We have too long a list of harm, of violence, of oppression, a too long list of discrimination, of totalitarianism, of a total disregard for our planet and all its beings, a too long list, too many pebbles. And we're wondering, how many more pebbles can our pitcher take? And will the water ever rise to the top? How do we make sense in the season of waiting, of the need to wait for justice? Because we are waiting. We long for justice in our justice system and safety in our streets for everyone. We long for accountability and responsibility from the very people who demand our respect, sometimes violently. We long for a day when every single person would rise up and say, enough is enough, we must end this violence and hate. Oh, how we wait. Waiting for the long moral arc of the universe can be discouraging and demoralizing. It can bring despair, paralysis, denial. Waiting can be exhausting. How long, we cry out, how long, O Lord, how long? But wait, we must. And during this Advent season, we are called to wait differently. As the Reverend Anna Gonzalez writes at the Blue Boat Home blog, we are called to active, hopeful waiting. She reminds us to wait like Mary, a pregnant teenager in an occupied territory who still knows that she is sacred. Gonzalez writes that if you too know oppression in our current society, remember how very sacred you are. Remember that you are co-creating divinity itself with your life. Let your soul magnify the divine, who would scatter the proud, bring down the mighty, and fill the hungry with good things. Gonzalez also reminds us to wait like Joseph, who stands by his pregnant fiancée when his society tells him she is wrong, unrespectable, immoral, and when he himself is confused. We should think carefully about the judgments we make in here. We must learn to value peace and righteous anger more than respectability and peace. We must push ourselves to dialogue with others and find a way to work with and be with those who are bringing love into this world, even if they are not doing it exactly the way we'd like. And in our waiting, we must listen and be open to the truth of other people's experiences, the violence and condemnation, the fear and the struggle. We cannot step into another's shoes and know their experience, but we can practice radical empathy and radical welcome as best we know how. And so in this way, we wait. We aren't staying still. No, we keep moving forward. We actively wait for a new creation, a beloved community, a way of living into relationship that defies the systems that destroy lives in our country and in our world. We actively wait for true liberation that draws the circle of love ever wider. We actively wait in this time of Advent.
Spirit of truth, come in. For in our world and in ourselves there is conflict. Too many lives form the battleground of the struggle for justice and power. Grant us patience as we keep on moving forward, never turning back. Give us a common dream. Fill us with peace. Fill us with the truth of the season.
Come, you dayspring, come. Oh, come, you dayspring, come and cheer our spirits by your presence here, and dawn in every broken soul as vision that can see the whole. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as light to dwell.
In the film Michael, there is a moment when the titular archangel, played by John Travolta, has an opportunity to brag a little about the influence he has had on humanity. "I invented standing in line," he insists. Before that, everyone just gathered around, he says. "It was all a big mess, so I said, why don't we just make a line?" When asked what the line was for, he replies, "To get in." We are good at waiting. Maybe not as good as the Brits, but we're still really good at waiting. We wait for the bus, for the check to arrive, for the wound to heal, for the workday to end, for the call from a loved one, for a good diagnosis. And we wait to start things. As soon as I finish my degree, after I get a new job, as soon as I meet someone, after I lose a little more weight, when the death of my partner doesn't feel so sharp, as soon as this depression lifts. Any minute now, my ship is coming in. I keep checking the horizon. And you say, "Be still, my love. Open up your heart. Let the light shine in. Don't you understand? I already have a plan. I'm waiting for my real life to begin." Colin Hay captures that something, how often we are waiting for our real lives to begin. I mean, it seems we're always waiting. Often we wait because, well, we did the analysis. We asked how we could get to our goals. We made lists. We weighed the pros and cons. We looked at all the ducks we had to put in a row and left the pond. Too many times the answer to how keeps us waiting for, well, who knows what exactly. And even when we do know how, we often decide not to do the thing because it's hard or uncertain or risky. And so we wait. We think we're being present, but in fact we're stuck in the meantime, in a mean time. But what if we stopped looking at the present as a place of inaction and remembered that all we have is now? In his book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle says we should realize deeply that the present moment is all you will ever have. Make now the primary focus of your life. Whereas before you dwelt in time and paid brief visits to the now, have your dwelling place in the now and pay brief visits to the past and future. Always say yes to the present moment. Easier said than done, I know. Frustratingly so, especially since our culture is driven by just as soons. And after all, we're immersed in an ego-driven, overhyped, ambition-led society, heightened by a season that pushes us to buy more, eat more, do more, be more. We are led to believe that we are incomplete as we wrestle with those things we think we need to do or need to fix. And soon we are stuck in that mean time, forgetting to be present, forgetting that waiting is generative, forgetting to live each moment. It certainly happens in December for many of us, as it's a frenetic month, full of shopping and baking and parties and pageants and a sense that if we don't get it all done now, we might lose something. But even in December, there is a sense that our pace is about to change. We look at the bare trees and touch the growing solid ground, and we notice a dearth of songbirds. And we know, too, that underneath the ground, living things are changing and growing through this pause. The writer of the Hebrew wisdom book, Ecclesiastes, reminds us that for everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. It is true for the earth. It is true for us. In every moment there is change, even in the waiting. Things will have changed. You will have changed. I will have changed. In fact, we already have. Process theology, which we find both named and unnamed throughout Unitarian Universalist thought, tells us that events, not matter, are the discrete base of reality. So everything from the tiniest quarks to the biggest bodies of mass, and thus every thought and action too, is in motion. Even when we think we are in rest, every action, every idea, every choice is the universe growing and changing, and usually growing and changing to a yes. Well, that's rather comforting. In a culture that expects us to have goals and objectives and ambitions and layers on the guilt of unachieved expectations, it's nice to know that something is always moving and growing even when we are still. Advent becomes even more important because in the midst of this frenetic season of more, Advent, much like pie, asks us to stop, be still, and give thanks. It asks us to be present and wait for the light to return. And it asks us to be present with and for each other. It asks us to be a light for one another. I know that sometimes may seem difficult when there's so much suffering and so many of us have our own pains and sorrows and troubles. But we can still be a light for one another in this time of waiting. We can share our own stories of loss and fear and struggle, our own stories of sorrow and trouble, and bring comfort and light to those who need it. We may not know exactly how, but in this time of waiting for the light to come, we can hear the cries of others who are lost in the shadow and together find the way out.
Spirit of light, come in, for there is much in our lives closing our eyes to the possible. Pressure mounts with the countdown, so many things to do. The season casts long shadows on regrets and things left undone. The days remind us of our pains and troubles. Grant us patience. Fill us with wonder and anticipation. Fill us with the light of the season.
O come, you wisdom from on high. O come, you wisdom from on high, from depths that hide within us high, to temper knowledge with our care, to render every act of prayer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as hope to dwell.
As we have seen, waiting takes on many forms. excitement and anticipation, anxiety and nervousness, action and presence, anger and paralyzing frustration, confidence and dread. Sometimes all of those things all at once. Yet Advent teaches us over and over again to stop, be still, and give thanks. Advent asks us to be present in the moment, even as we are throwing up our hands in frustration, even as we are making endless lists, even as we are dreading awkward family interactions, even as we are feeling overwhelmed by the pressures of the season, even as we are dwelling in regrets and inadequacies. Even with all of those things, Advent calls us to simply be present to the moment, simply be attentive to the quiet of the long nights, to dwell in the quiet of waiting, of not knowing what is to come, of staying ready and attentive, to dwell in the quiet of choosing when not to speak and act and change, when we cannot know what we have set in motion, but we still have to take the risk, to dwell in the quiet of loving in which it is safe to be vulnerable, to let go of our self-protection and lean into our connections with one another, to dwell in the quiet of hoping in a world that longs for hope, for grace, for the wrestling and laboring of all creation, for wholeness and justice and freedom, to dwell in the quiet regeneration, knowing that in order for the seed to nourish and the flower to flourish, we need rest and care. It's hard waiting because it's often open-ended. It's out of our control. Yet when we are present to our waiting and active in our waiting, we can feel that sense of hope that waiting promises, that our pains, sorrows, and troubles will ease, that the moral arc of the universe will bend toward justice, that the baby will be born, that the oil in the lamp will last one more night, that the light of the sun will come again. In the waiting, there is hope.
Spirit of hope, come in. For the days darken and we sometimes wonder if our work is for naught. Wounded souls in a wounded world, we need you. Grant us patience. Fill us with promise and potential. Fill us with joyous anticipation of possibility. Fill us with hope of this season. Beloveds, I invite you to rise in body or spirit with joyous anticipation and turn in the gray hymnal to number 226 as we sing with hope, People Look East. Hymn number 226. The time is near of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able. Trim the hearth and set the table. People look east and sing today. Love, the guest is on the way. Furrows be glad though earth is bare. One more seed is planted there. Give up your strength, the seed to nourish, that in course the flower may flourish. People look east and sing today. Love, the rose is on the way. Stars keep the watch when night is dim. One more light the bowl shall brim, shining beyond the frosty weather, bright as sun and moon together. People look east and sing today. Love, the star is on the way.
In closing, I offer these words from the poet Jan Richardson. This blessing could pound on your door in the middle of the night, could bang on your window, could tap dance in your hall, could set a dog loose in your room. But what this blessing really wants is not merely your waking, but your company. This blessing wishes to wait with you. This blessing will do all in its power to entice you into awareness, because it wants to be there, to bear witness, to see the look in your eyes on the day when your vigil is complete and all your waiting has come to its joyous end. Go in love, go in joy, go in peace.